Here's the first deer for me for the 2000, I guess this is 9 season. He's not too bad, only about 15 inches. Actually, I saw a little better deer later on, but I couldn't get a shot of him, and had already tried to shoot this guy. It's time to take our head out of the freezer and let her defrost. We're going to put them into this hot water pot. We're not going to boil them. We're going to essentially simmer them off. It's going to be hot enough to cook the soft tissue. In the water is Dawn dishwashing detergent. It may not be that specific brand, but it's basically a high grease cutting type of material. And that's to keep the fluids out of the water, to keep them floating up above on top, so that we don't really get them in the bone. Below is just an electric hot plate, not a big deal with that. Removing the flesh from the bone, there's 3 basic methods that I know of as far as my research has been able to determine. One of which is the boiling method of the cooking them off. Another way is the beetle method, or the carnivorous animal. Some people will put them in plastic buckets, so to speak, the little rectangular buckets, drill holes in them and set them out, and let the insects drill holes in them, let the insects come in and get them from underneath. And they'll put field stones or something on top to keep the coyotes and dogs and things from getting to the head that way, and they pick them clean that way. Use beetles. There's a specific type of beetles that people use. Oftentimes when they do that, though, what they'll do is they'll peel the skin away and have basically the meat left on the bone, and that expedites that process. Another process, maceration. Often what you find is they'll put that underwater. And essentially what that is rotting underwater. And that is probably the least palatable way to do it. I understand it works. I have not done it. I don't intend to do it. It stinks. And I want to boil mine. In preparation for the process, I've set this skull up here. This is the one I've processed myself. And I've got a little bit of a glue job going on top bones, which we'll show later in sequence. What I thought I'd do is show you a little bit about the anatomy of the deer and the pieces, the bones, what they're going to be before you go into this process trying to remove the soft tissue, the muscle and the soft tissue. And what I've done is I set the jawbone back up in their position, and you see you have some little shapes here and here where the back of the mandibles go in, and they have these hollow processes which is surrounded by quite a bit of jaw tissue. Then air passes over through these long passageways, which when you get into that part of that process, you'll see they've got a lot of membrane in there, and I think that's how they figure that deer can smell significantly better than humans. They have so much more tissue for the receptors to be in. Now, this is the C1, cervical 1, top part of the spine, and it's in position here. And we have then C2. You'll notice it has a nice surface right here, and the way these pieces go together is when these are in here and they're forcing, when a deer rams his head against the other deer in battle, there's quite a bit of surface here, and you see it protects the spinal cord. Well, when this structure goes in here like this, we have these bony protrusions. We have a very large vertebrae here, and we also have the jaw bones and total facial structure, so that all of this comes together. There is a lot, I hate to use the word term, meat. There's a lot of tissue up here. And as you go into this, you need to know where these pieces are, because the actual part of the skull that we're going to use for the project is significantly down in there. You've got to get past this piece, which can be a little bit of effort to work out. The pieces mate almost at a 45, the way they sit in here. And this gives quite a bit of motion. This is basically a forward and backwards, and you start beginning to pick up the twist in the rest of the spine here. Now, taking any of the skin off is optional, but anything you can keep out of the water, the soup some people will call it, is less that's going to be able to get into the bone. It's 2:30 in the morning. The skull has been worked once. I got this on, I don't know, 6-ish, something like that. I'm fixing to put it back in. I'll flip it over and give you what the back looks like. Okay, the top half is going back in the water. We're not going to do anything with the lower jaw, so we're going to leave it out. I've just skimmed the top off the water, nothing else. Make a little hook, and you can use it to go through the base of the skull to remove the upper central nervous system.